Computer. Lights. Morning, guys, and happy Tuesday. Okay, so it's February 2nd, 2022. So that makes it 2/22/2022. It's the closest we're going to get to all twos because, of course, until it's 22/22, which is 200 years from now. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not sticking around for that. I'm just saying that is way too far away. But it's all twos all the time. Okay. We got epic tons of work to do. So we're epically tonsing the work. That's what we're doing. Here's what we got. We've been working on this rig here where I have the shuttle in here. We need to build this shuttlecraft out so that we can do the scenes in my comic that take place in this shuttle. But I had sort of a horrifying realization that I can't shoot any kind of pictures through the cockpit windows. So heavy sigh, I went back and cut holes in the windows here. That took a long time, but it's done. So I don't have to do it again. And luckily, the rest of the object is still fine. So we didn't have to actually do too much to it. So we'll go in here and we'll pull out this wall and we will re-import, because we need to do that anyway. We'll re-import that nose wall. So that's what we're doing today, is getting all of this squared away. Because this set is critical to the story. All of my comic takes place on this set. So let's make sure that works. Look at that. I already see problems. Like, it didn't like it. But I'll double check it to make sure. Okay, so this section of this nose wall is going to have to go. I'll have to redo it. I was going to try to salvage it, but it's so different and so radical, which actually was the reason why I chose to do it this way, was because legitimately it's getting to the point where if I don't do it now, I'm going to end up having to pay for it in the long run. And I didn't want to have to pay for this in the long run. So it's annoying. It's aggravating. It's irritating. And we're just doing it. We're just going to do this. And it'll take only a second. Good morning, Donald. Working on the old MPV here all long day. Good morning, Brent. Good morning. How are you guys today? I got a kick out of what you posted earlier today, Brent, about the officer ordering people to be at the D&D game. That cracked me up because, of course, back in the 80s, D&D was not happening on any kind of military setup in any way. It was just funny. Like the thought of the guys in the military playing D&D cracks me up a lot in a good way. I mean, as in that I feel like is very much a positive evolution, an evolution in the correct direction. But I tagged my buddy. uh, yeah, I figured that from my view in the 80s, I'm sure it is a remarkably different military, from where I was seeing the military in the 80s. Um, and I mean, of course, there were a lot of things I didn't serve. So none of this is, it's all secondhand information anyway, as far as that goes. So it's kind of interesting that we talk about things like that, and I'm like, that's just not something I would have pictured occurring. Which, and I think because the way that the military was portrayed in the 80s was that it was all a bunch of jocks. That's where all the people who were jocks at heart would go. And so you can't imagine jocks playing D&D because that's just not what happened back in the 80s. Yeah, the snow, it dusted us. We don't even have an inch. So the snow came down into dust, but it is, yeah, it is my PC is saying minus 17 Celsius, or right about 1 degree Fahrenheit, maybe 2 degrees Fahrenheit. And Donald's right. It's minus 15 with a wind chill. So it's one of those days for all you Colorado lovers out there. Having one of those days. So, and said totally without judgment. I mean, it's, all of the things where I do gosh, I just can't imagine it is literally just me not imagining it because I never really spent time trying to think about it. I just went on my presumptions of the universe, which we all do as humans, and never challenged them until now. At which time I said, huh, and challenged my preconceptions and then changed things, as we all have to do from time to time. So that's all. By no stretch do I think that that's the status quo, or do I think that it needs to be the status quo? All right. Gotta put it up. And I agree with you, Donald. I feel bad for the homeless too, especially since I drove my kid to school because I think it's too cold for him to be out there in this mess. So I mean, what does it say about the folks who are, homeless, and they're out there really suffering as well. So, okay, here's what we're doing. I'm bringing up my various widgets here. All I'm doing is I try to take my inspiration on design from Macross, because I really like the way Macross does their design stuff. It's a unique look. It gives a good feel, things like that. I mean, I don't mimic it directly, but I try to take at least the concept from Macross. It gives it a, not only that, Macross eschewed circles for more square things, which is great because I can't use circles very well. And I mean, it's not impossible, just difficult. And we have a circle later on that you're going to see why it's difficult. So I tend to try to stay away from circles as much as possible, because it's anytime we have a circle, a round thing like a cylinder, if you turn it this way, it is totally fine. We can do it this way. But if you turn it this way and then render it, it renders without lines on either side, because we're not using any kind of tune shading in this, because the tune shading gets out of control. So I can't control the tune shading that well. And so this process requires that we don't tune shade. So that means that we got a little bit of a problem kind of going on with it here when we do stuff. So that's all right. It's not an issue. It's just that because of that, I tend to not design with cylinders in mind. Later, when we have to do the landing gear, the kitty wake, we're going to see that in a more pronounced way. That's what I'm looking for right there, at that picture right there. Angular squares. Well, and hey, you won $50. Nice. Congrats. But I mean, that's the thing. So it's not a problem. It's just, to do it this way is not hurtful in any way. It does not actually hurt to not have circles. So, and it's never really been a major issue. So I was afraid of that. I was afraid this would be angled funny. I can't see it as well in there. It's not as clear cut and obvious. So, right, I do angular squares, or I'll pull tricks like, this, where I'll put the circle in right here, and it looks like there's a circle, and we've got a round thing, and that works. You know what I mean? It's like, he's got a circle. Yeah, he's got a circle. It's totally fine. I'll put this circle in right there, and now we've got a circle, and it's not an issue. Yeah, and you're right. It's efficient and it works just fine, and so it makes for this is the way. But I always like to kind of explain why we don't go for circular things unless they're flat. If they're flat, because we're about to do a circular window in the front of this ship, And I wanted to, before people start going, now wait a minute, didn't you just say you don't do circles? I was like, well, now there's exceptions. If they're flat, it's fine. Right. There we go. So I'll do this, do that. And we're just putting widgets out here on this guy. Actually, I probably should check to see if he's aligned properly before we do this. So let's do a quick alignment check. He's chaotic neutral. Okay, that was a good alignment check. You're making a linear joke. I love the linear joke. Excuse me. All right. Let's real quick, before we go any further, save as, and let's save this guy here as a JPEG. I'm going to save him as nose wall, which is what we're calling this, is a nose wall, so that I know what we're talking about, right? Nose wall. Nose wall. There's already a nose wall in here. Yep, because it was that way. And then we'll go into here, and we should see our nose wall X and X. There we go. It's remembering it. Sometimes I just really hate stupid programs that are, well, I hate programs that are trying to be smart. In this case, this program is attempting to be smart because the red one is the old one. Right? The program, so you can see the red on here. That's the original JPEG. So it has loaded the original JPEG into memory, and it's not taking this new JPEG. So I'm gonna have to save as and say NX2. NX, I use, of course, the kind of the Star Trek code for an experimental spacecraft. And we'll just load that. There we go. That gives us a markedly better idea of what's going on here. Okay. Now we can see whether it's lined up. Yep, that's what I was afraid of. So we have a crossed problem here. We've got to clear something has gone wonky, but we can't see in or out of the window at this moment because of those crossed, screwed up vertices. So we'll have to fix that. However, the rest of it looks about right. So if we look here, you can kind of see that everything looks pretty decent, except for the screwed up vertices. The rest of it looks like it's fine. There's a couple of them in there we're going to have to fix. That's a screwed up Boolean. The Boolean didn't go correctly. So we'll have to pull that out. But other than that, this looks fine. The panel looks good up to the control panel here. I probably should do something about making sure this piece sort of matches so that it doesn't look like it's going up and then not going anywhere. So I'm going to make that match better. So what I'll probably actually do is take the control panel line and just bring it down just a hair, because that's this line here. But I'm also seeing that it's not taking that line, which makes me think that really what this is this is off by a shade. You got to go move your car at 10. Okay, first things first, before we do anything, we have to fix the broken and screwed up vertices. We don't see them here. That's part of the problem, is I can't see them on this map, right? I don't see this looks like a big open hole, but here it is clear that we don't have a big open hole. So we've got a problem. I'm going to have to figure out how to clear these errors by finding them over here. It's a remarkably irritating thing to do. So they're here. And part of it is probably this face. So let's go to edit mode. And let's check our faces. This face, not that face. It's probably something to do with that face, or the fact that there is no face here. That's part of our problem right there. Right there. That's your problem right there. There's no face. So we know this face is here. But legitimately, I don't see any of the other faces. They're not marked. There's your problem right there. I think we got the same problem on the other side. Right here. And this inside piece. I can't see a face there either. So let's figure that out. The hard part is we can't see. How do we know the guy didn't invent it? How do we know the guy didn't invent this stuff? So first things first, I do know that this is a problem child. So let's just get the face only out of it. And that kind of, if I go in here and take this edge right here, it's an inside edge. So let's get this outside edge. That's the outside edge we want right there. That's part of our problem right there. So if we take that guy out and just take that edge and delete it, that should get rid of at least some of the pieces that are kind of screwed up out here. Maybe. So we'll go from this top guy right here and then start putting in faces again. Here and here. F is the key for a face. When you do, and you can control unselect a vertice, and shift will select a vertice. So then we can put in that face, and we'll do the same thing. We'll just go up and down the like a knitting pattern here. Just select that guy right there, hit face. Right, and we're going to have to kind of go with sort of a star pattern here because we've got kind of a problem going on with just there's no more points out here. So I'll take you, put it in a face. Some of these faces are going to get really slender as time goes on. Okay, so we'll put in that face, and it's a big face. And then we'll take that guy out of the picture, and we'll have one really slender face there. In that face, it's going to be really small. We need it. Face there. Right. Kind of tedious work. 3D work is tedious, but once it's done, it's done. That's you keep saying that. It keeps making me at least feel a little bit better about what I'm doing here. Because once this is done, it's done. We don't have to do it again. Now, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put 4 in. There we go. And now we can kind of tell already. Just check to make sure that there's a solid unit there going for everything. Yeah, everything looks solid. Let's see, this top part up here, probably the same problem. I'm not sure. Let's look. Yeah, that's definitely the same problem. So what's happening is in the import process, there are no points. There's no vertices in there. Blender has made a guess of some sort. Blender's made some sort of assessment of how a shell works. So it's doing the shell by itself without anybody's assistance. And then when it comes into DAZ needs it to be explicit, needs to know exactly what we're dealing with here. So we're going to take this guy. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to just take the face out like so. And then we're just going to same trick we just did, except I'm going to leave it in non-naked mode this time so that I can see where I'm sealing up parts of this. Well, part of the reason that we're doing this is because I was building this last night and had the sudden and somewhat uncomfortable realization, that's dangerous, because that's a water break right there. If there's 2 of these here, and it looks like there are. Yeah, look at that. It is something weird. Not sure what that is, but it's not there anymore. Okay, that's all that's important, right? Nope, that didn't work because all I did was blow a hole in the bottom of the mesh there. All right. Nope. There we go. Now we fixed that. Last night when I was working on this, I had the sudden realization that if I don't actually put the windows in, I can't do pictures through the windows. So, for example, when you look at the pilot through the window as the pilot is trying to land or something of that sort of ilk, we couldn't do that because we had because the windows were fake. They were green screens. And as soon as I realized that, then I realized that also I can't draw the outside of the ship to match the inside of the ship because we'd have to guess. We'd have to guess how they looked. So, and I've already found out that guessing on how these shapes work is not as efficient as I would like it to be. So, this is a better, even though it's a pain in the butt, it is a much better task that we are on right now. I feel like we should take that guy out too. Because that's not a shape, guys. That's not a shape. You can't do that. That won't work. I think Blender does some kind of thing to make it mathematically easier or something. But the things like DAZ Studio don't take well to that. Here's the weird long one. We're going to have one weird long one. It's all right. As long as it transparent steel. I feel like transparent steel would just still rust. You just have floating rust, right? It's these rust spots and they're just floating out there. And you'd be like, what's this? Burn. You know. All right. Okay. I've watertighted. That's a word. Watertighted this. And we're going to just select only the outside edge of this kind of trouble child. Which we didn't do right there. Here we go. Try that. Shift U, 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 U. We're just grabbing all of the pieces that belong just to the outside edge, and U, right? And you see the mess that it made over here. Yep. The mess it made over here. So we go to project from view, and that gives us just this projection exactly as it looks right there. Perfect. So I'll take you and I'll move you over to here because what's actually happening is the rest of this piece is still fine, except for this guy who's all screwed up now. And you know who that is. That's this corner that I had to wipe out and reassemble because it was broken. So that's you, right? So what I'm going to do is this. I'm just going to tilt until I'm at an angle that works and say project from view. That grabs you. I can put you over here. And then I can grab the whole piece there. This guy has to go back over here where his other buddies are, his compatriots. And we will really rotate him into place. And that's not a problem. This guy, I have all these extra pieces that belong to bits and pieces of undersides and things like that. And I've actually been kind of making them progressively smaller so that they're not really involved in this because it's the underside of the control panels or it's the underside of the entire sled. But the more I've been thinking about it, the more I'm like, well, maybe I actually kind of want to make this be a place that we can paint in the future. So I'm going to actually put this guy legitimately on here in a sort of larger size. Not a whole lot larger because I'm not that interested in making him viable for for painting later on down the road. But at least for now, this is what we're going to do. Okay, so one more time from the top. We'll export this piece as a wavefront object. And we'll replace the piece that's in there, right? And we go back into edit mode. And because we selected the wrong guy. Object mode, just you, please. Back into edit mode. I'm like, what happened? I'm going to go over here. We'll zoom in until he takes up the whole page, like so. And then we'll do Windows Shift S. We're not quite in the trees of the forest yet. Like I said, we could down and dirty a lot of things, but then what we'll end up with is having to pay for it later. And that's the biggest problem. Right? I mean, if we, in this instance, taking the window and making the window is going to save us time in the long run. Because I actually agree that there's a certain amount of trees and forest going on here. But doing this right the first time will save us having to fix it. Yeah. And like I told my wife yesterday, I don't want to quit on Monday or, say that it's impossible by Monday. But legitimately, this is part of the process, is to build 3D sets. That's how I do my comics. So we're just behind on the how and why on this. Hi, we're doing this wrong. So no disagreement with you on this. Although nothing I can do whenever this stupid doodly wop is doodly wopping the wrong way. I won't put any detail on the outside. I'll just trace around the edges here. There. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay. I feel like somehow this entire section just got moved over just a smidge. Just looking at the way it was. You could help me, but you don't have to. Yeah. You are doing your job and doing a fine job of your job. I just want you to know that I'm not treesing and foresting at this moment. We want to make sure we do this the correct way. There's going to be a fight for it. So, okay, one more. Save as. This time I'm going to save it as NX3. I hate doing this. However, so some areas I don't pay as much attention to. For example, the floor took me that much time to do. I'm not messing with the floor. You don't look at the floor. So we don't worry about it. But you are going to look at the control panels of the ship. You're going to look at various aspects of it. So I probably should just delete her so that we don't get nailed for. But this floor piece, it took me 5 minutes, maybe 10. You know what I mean? No time at all. None. Which makes sense. I spent more time on the wall because I know that one of the angles we're going to have is going to be, say, for example, coming in like sitting right here. This is going to be an angle we're going to have, right? So I want to spend some time on what's back here. And I'm going to spend some time on what's right here. Although I'm looking at like the door and there might be, probably be another window there. No, you don't get to look outside. Just look at a whole bunch of equipment on the wall. Shut up and enjoy your ship. Okay, we may have to like rethink that. All right. Bringing in this thing again. Left view. Bring that out. And shrink it down just a smidge so that it's the right thing. Then top view, make sure it goes to the right side of the ship, correct side of the vessel. There we go. Then we say map, browse. We're going to take 3 on this one. Right. All right, now we look at its positioning on things, make sure everything looks good. Voila, the hole works. It looks like a hole. Control panel looks good. Front nose piece looks fine. And that's what we were after here is this. This shot is the important key shot that we were after. Being able to look up to the yeah, and it is military. The pilot needs to be able to see, but really the passengers don't. And you are not wrong. I could have saved myself a ton of time right there. Damn it. We still have one wiggy right here. Look at that. On the inside. Okay. So I just now thought of this, and I don't know why I didn't think of this before. There's a modifier called Triangulate. See all what it just added? Just added a whole bunch of little triangles. That fixed all of those problems right there. All of these little black triangles just fixed all of the problems we were having. In one move. Should have done that before. I don't know what my problem is, guys. Just clearly it's a Monday morning for me. Who knew? Okay. Everything still looks, no, it doesn't look good. Where are these extra guys? Okay, everything is good. Everything is good. Everything's still in the same place. Everything's still in the same place. I didn't even screw up the placement of things. Because like nothing's changed over here. I don't have weird. Yeah, so everything's fine. So all I need to do is just export it one more time as a wavefront object. Export over it. Passengers typically sleep or they talk about things. There is only one thing that would make me think otherwise on this one, and that is, though you're correct about that, passengers typically sleep. On the same token, you might have a scientific survey aboard, at which time you wouldn't have passengers sleeping because they would be doing their science as you're expected to do. That's the only thing I can think of. I was going to do one more thing. Because it's way over the midline on this one. And I'm trying to decide if I even care. I don't think I care. I really don't think I care. I may not care at all. Let's check. The reason that there's actually a crash couch in here right now is so that I can make sure that everything aligns properly. Right. And the only problem I've got right now is this. This part goes over the midline. See how it's going over that midline? And I'm starting to feel like I may not care. I don't care. This is me not caring. Look, I don't care. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Donald. Bring the nose wall back in. Yep, as I suspected, it's all gone. I just needed to triangulate. Sometimes I worry about me, guys. There we go. Let's take a look to the side. Let's go to the left view. Lock it up. Bam. Perspective view, good. We'll take this nose wall. We'll take the surfaces and we'll do the surfaces check. Cancel. By putting in NX3 nose wall. All looks good. Everything looks solid. Door looks fine. Good. Good. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so was Tormund like screwed up last night too? Because George spent from like 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. literally running up and down the stairs and through our bedroom and then back down the stairs and then through the living room and then back up the stairs and through our bedroom. And I saw him in the window, on the windowsill. No, because he's asleep now, because he's used up all of his energy running through the night, keeping me awake. I'm just saying. That cat, I worry about him a lot. So, all right. We're going to do the magic of this. And that's why I was asking, because they overlap up front. But I don't think I care, because you can't really tell, right? And that's fine. There we go. Now the front of the ship is complete with crash couches, 2 control helms, and passenger seats in the back. It actually looks fine. Okay, good. Yeah, something was so weird with the cats. They were so broken last night. I don't know what the story is, other than our cats are broken. I guess is in and of itself a story. Okay, move on to the next piece. We need to do a couple of things still on the mapping here because, like, there are no controls. So we need to figure that out, but that's okay. Other than that, we are ready to go. I'm going to do a few more things over here, and then we're going to call this one good. We're going to do a pilot's and a navigator side because the navigator side's to the right seat. I'll bet you anything it's, yeah, some rando calling. I don't answer rando calls. Sorry. All right. Okay. Let's get to the right layer. We can go all the way down to here. There we go. I don't know what the story is with Tormund and George. They're both broken animals. Just decided, made that decision just now. Broken. Broken, I tell you, broken. Nope. It's interesting. Pink has a song, and the lyrics are something to the effect of "Don't let me get me." And sometimes I feel that's exactly what's going on in my life. Like I'm out to get myself, you know. So I'm like, okay, guys, don't let me get me. A lot of things Pink sings about. I'm like, yeah, I feel that. She does a lot of songs where I'm like, a little too close to home there. I feel called out, Pink. Yeah. I'm just making this graphically fit as we need to from time to time. Well, I'm sure it was a major storm there, although I think the discussions here were, brace for a huge storm, and then no huge storm came, and everybody's like, well, no, wait a minute. Weren't we going to brace for a huge storm? I thought we were going to brace for a huge storm, you know. There we go. And we're just adding widgets to make it look important. Look like we meant to do some of this stuff. And this is before I make my final version of this. This isn't even my final version. Uh-oh. Started printing an R2D2 dome. Oh, yeah. I don't know why that's a bad news story. What's the bad news part of that? You're gonna have to walk me through this. Captain Dummy Talk. I'm gonna need it in Captain Dummy Talk. Okay. Because I'm actually looking forward to seeing this Astromech when it's done. Oh, I see. I get one of those domes. That'd be kind of fun, actually. That would be way cool. Then I'd add all the widgets to it, and I would add all the thingies, and then we'd only have to make the rest of the Astromech, which would be fine. I actually think that that's what Kevin's big push is right now, is to get to the point where he can make his Astromech work. So being one dome up would be extraordinarily useful for him, or for us, because we're going to build G33K. That's going to be our Astromech. That's the big thing we're working on is G33K. So that will be our Astromech. It's going to be, of course, various shades of green. Geek Tank green. And it will likely carry microphones with us to conventions, and that will be its job. Carry sound equipment for broadcasting. Because if nothing else, how cool would it be to say, we're broadcasting live from Denver Comic-Con via G33K, our Astromech droid, a broadcast mech droid. That's what you call it, as a broadcast mech droid. Okay. This is good. That looks pretty widgety. I like it. It's got some solid widgets going for it. Add a couple of little more, just a couple more things like so and so, just to kind of give it more. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You sit there and talk to the Astromech. I mean, really, just the excessive. I mean, we already sort of have a rep as Geek Tank. When you go around to conventions, people are already kind of like, "Oh, it's Geek Tank," which it's totally cool. I just think that we would up our rep quite a bit if we had G33K with us. So, yeah, I think that'd be awesome. Certainly a thing we should do. So now you guys know about our big secret project, which isn't a secret, but it's a thing. It's so secret, by the way, that I don't think Troy actually knows about this project. So there's that. Yeah, see, a mini projector would be cool. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with these guys. That's way too much, but you know what? I'm okay with it. We're going to go with it. We're going to go with this.
It's time to take a 2-minute break.
It is time for us to take a quick break, guys. It looks kind of like okay. There we go. I feel like that needs a line or something across it, so something like that. There, makes me feel better. Okay, let's stand up. So I been suffering from that sciatica pinched nerve for a week or a little under a week. And last night I got so sick of it, and I was like, I'm so tired of that pinched nerve. So I finally broke down and took 2 Tylenol back and body, and the pain went away. And I was like, I know it's going to come back in like 4 hours. It didn't. It just didn't. It went away and it never came back. I'm like, should have done this like 5 days ago. I'd probably have been in a markedly better position. So it's kind of okay. I'll see you when you get in again. Okay, we need one last thing. We need the cockpit controls. So we're going to go flipping through here until we get cockpit controls, which we have. Because I got control panels. Kind of want to look at like how the controls are done when you have just a bunch of dudes who are just making random controls, right? So what do the controls look like on the idea here, the concept behind this, right? That's where I'm after. I'm gonna look at like just controls and control panels and things, and it's kind of want to get an idea of what my controls might look like, right? Look at these control panels in the Macross interior views. It's kind of what I'm looking for. Something similar to that. Okay, so I'm going to go in here. We're going to bring up these control panels here. We're going to get a much finer pin for this, much finer straight line. I'm going to go into 4-point here, which will give us lines that look like that. Okay, so we're going to go into that folder, as we just were, the folder that has all this data and information on it. We're going to bring up the controls for a Valkyrie. Kind of was hoping I could find like more of a control console, kind of get an idea. Really, all I need is just a little bit of inspiration to get the right feel of things. So I want the correct feel of it. So I don't need it to be exactly the same. But when I look at like the pictures that they've got, I get kind of a feel of what it looks like. You know what I mean? Like, kind of want to get the style of it. Because really the truth is, in the end, this is completely opaque. There's no way you're going to be able to, I mean, it should look not quite alien, but like the controls aren't easily recognizable. That's what we really want in the end. We want the controls to look remarkably opaque. So we're going to take a 6 brush. We're going to kind of do something that looks a little like this. And the reason is because, you want it's the future. If you were to look at airplane controls now, even if you were to look at them from the point of view of um, understanding how cars work, let's say, you still wouldn't quite grasp what's going on. It'd be too bizarre. It'd be really strange. So I'm trying to make the controls look not alien, but not quite recognizable enough anymore. I really don't want to be able to recognize what this is. So I'm going to make this similarly unrecognizable. I mean, I just don't want people to, oh, well, there's the flaps controls and there's I actually have struggled with this when I was doing the pilot controls on the pilot house. I thought about the same problem. And no matter which way I thought of it, the reality was too close. The reality was that it's not going to be recognizable, and it shouldn't be. By the way, I am intentionally not using circle templates or things like that. It gives it a more realistic or more hand-drawn feel if I literally hand draw it. I mean, it sounds kind of silly, but a little bit more authentic feel, right? There's sort of the same logic behind why LCARS on Star Trek doesn't really say anything. It just has a bunch of numbers, and it doesn't look like anything. The logic is the same, which is to make it so that it's not totally obvious what everything does, but it does something. You can tell by the look of it and the look of things that it's doing something. It's doing something. You just have no clue what that something is. Nope, too much. Got to bring the pen down. So we're just making it look like a thing. You know this thing does a thing. We all know it does a thing. What thing does it do? We don't know. We're not sure. But it does it. It does it well. Does it well. Does it? Yes, it does. Best part about this is we can probably clone this control panel for the pilot house later in our build. Huh. That's how you know it's space age, is when there's hexagons. Right? I mean, because that's how space age works. Everything is hexagonal in space. In space, no one can hear you be a hive. There you go. Me. All right. Ooh, wow. All right. I'll go back in here. I feel like there we go. Little screens that are saying things. Knowing that we've got stuff going on here, that's all. giving it like all kinds of little widgets and controls. We really should be doing stuff that, makes it look like it's got some controls on it. We'll give it some of the graphics that sort of travel along the lines of normal Bellatrix Rising. I don't know. Give it a little bit of a feel to the console. I win. Tic-tac-toe. Okay. All right. Okay, moving along. Grab you. Take a look one more time through here. Let's see what else we've got. When you say rough sketches, you mean rough sketches. I'm getting a little bit of like pseudo sunshine here. Not, a whole lot. It's like threatening sunshine. Sunshine. Mirror, mirror. Oh no. Poor wife. She has forgotten to refill her windshield wiper fluid. We bought her more windshield wiper fluid and she forgot it. So she is, at the moment, heading to work without windshield wiper fluid. All right. Everybody needs idiot lights. Well, what good is the world if you don't have an idiot light? Except this has to be in Tamarabeshi. All right, that's looking like a control console that I can live with. Right? Looks good. And actually, I'm wondering whether I shouldn't just make it black. Looks even cooler that way. Gives us interesting little dots between things, that just artifacts of the fill tool not doing what it's not doing its job. There. I like that a whole lot better. Consoles. In case, something bad happens and we have to console you. So this is one of those, either we draw this now or we draw it later. Because there is a scene where they look out the front windows. And so either we do this today and do this right now, or we draw it when we make that scene and it's a one-off. So that's why I'm doing it now. Kind of tedious work, although it is kind of fun. I actually kind of enjoy doing stuff like this. A little bit of weird creativity and always kind of fun. I think I have forgotten something critical. Put these guys on different layers because they're always going to be funky. And that way you can just do this. Best part about this is, like I was saying, I've been kind of fretting over doing this console for the pilot house later on in the story, because we got to do the pilot house because it's a first scene in my other in moment, and so we've got to. But now I could just duplicate this console for her command console. It's not going to make any difference. And by her I mean Mayrell's command console on the Kittiwake. It could be this. We can just use this console. It's already there. Already pre-built. Nobody has to worry about it. It's already there. It's already built, which I like. And I'll just duplicate. In fact, I'm seriously thinking when it comes to building the pilot house, I am literally just going to take this front piece out of what we just built in 3D and then just chop off the wall to the right and then just make this a encompassing piece that slides in front of the pilot on the pilot house and just duplicate it. Make it the exact same thing. Saves me time. It looks consistent. It won't look inconsistent because it'll look exactly like the rest of sort of these things. I'm going to make this go to this point here. So I think that's what we're going to do. That way, the pilot house is done. We don't have to worry about it. Right? I mean, be done. Just make it a done thing. Have common decency to at least attempt to make these straight lines. Look how normal that ship is running. Just running perfectly, whatever. I don't know. Normal. Normal. It's running normal. How much burp debop do you have? I've got 47 burp debops. Oh, good. Everything is running perfectly normal then. We don't even know what that means. Does anybody know? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. They all think they know. They really don't. 16 beetly boops. No, not 16 beetly boops. We have to be at least at 18 beetly boops before we can take off. We'll try to bring up the beetly boops then. We need more beetly boops. Nothing worse than having a shortage of beetly boops. Just telling you. Nobody understands. The dominoes buttons, right? Beep, boop, beep, boop. Yeah, I'm liking this. Looking very control panel-y. I think you know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, that's good. There. Now we have little control console-esque thing up there. We got consoles over here that kind of do stuff. We don't really know what they do. It doesn't really matter. So we'll save this as the actual console. I'll take out the NX3 and I'll say this is port. And we'll make this left seat compatible. We're going to have to do a few other things too, but nothing major here. So go in here, take you, go to surface, nose wheel, you browse or nose widget, whatever. Who knows? Who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Why did you remap? What in the world? Oh. Does help if you put the correct map in there. Here we go. I put a wall map on there. Not a wall. Okay. And we'll just put you on there. Okay. Now when we look at the controls forward, there we go. It looks like there's something there. Look at that. In fact, looking over the shoulder of the pilot actually kind of looks cool, right? Looking right there, that looks pretty kick butt. You know, you could see somebody just, you know, just wait though. There's more. Okay. This took way too long, but it's worth it. The only thing that we still don't have, we're not sure of yet, is where we're going to be with the ceiling. So now that we've done that and we are happy, the next piece is not complicated. In fact, it'll be really rather easy. But we're going to put in the next piece, which is this front. You have a notification for me, don't you? This is when I look, because you're going to say something. Like you're going to try to sell me something. This is a new thing for you. I don't know if I like it. Okay, here we go. Object mode, add mesh cube. We've added a new cube. We're going to go into the side here. It's getting kind of bright out there. We're going to come up from here. I go to there. And we're just going to go ahead and just kind of minimize the UV over here while we go into edit mode. We're going to go into riveting edit mode here. Let's go for here. Here. I'm going to connect right there to you. Right. And we're going to just make sure it's all tight up here before we start. Mistake I made last time was not tightening this up before I started it. All right. Here we go. Coming down to here. Go to the top. Take it from the top. The top of what? Listen, if you don't want to cooperate here, we're through. Can I go now? It's still one of the best scenes ever. I love Chekhov. Okay. Okay. Because right here, we're going to hit extrude. We're going to come out to here. Right? We're like right here. Don't want to get too much in the actual eye line because it's okay. That's too low. We're gonna have to do something about that. Okay, so here. Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing. Okay. Maybe there. Let's look through the pilot's eyes. What do we have? I don't think I like this as much as I want to do it. Well, I mean, it's not like it's that. I mean, it is obstructive, but it's not that obstructive. So we're going to go back to this side here. We're going to do this. We're going to go up like so. Come back and up and back some more. So that there's a natural curve to the consoles here, because this is an upper console. All right, we're going to take these guys and then we're going to say extrude and do this and go like so. So this is another one of those guys doing something because he thinks it's cool, and so there, and just accept it. And so, it's a thing. I love upper consoles. I love watching the idea of having pilots going, okay, we're preparing for launch. Tick, 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 tick. I love that. It looks businessy, like you actually are doing something. So I'm trying to make these upper console pieces here so that you've got sort of that kind of business going on. And that's what we're after, is that. But, I mean, legitimately, it's in the eye line of our pilot who's going to be sitting right here, right? So here's his view, or her, in this case, view. We can see to the right, we can see down, but up, we've got this console in the way. But if I take and not have the window go all the way over, and instead we've got some eye line here and some eye line between there, it could be better. It could be okay. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to do this side here and extrude out to the wall right there. And then we'll do the other side as well. And we'll extrude that to the midline. Right, so the other thing we really need to do from the top down is not do what I just did. So here we go. Take these guys right here and push them back to here, because we still need the connector that connects down the run on the front of the Widgets. So, okay, the next thing I'm going to do is actually bring all of this control in, because it doesn't need to be a lot. On most jet aircraft, modern jet aircraft at this point in time, the upper console above the cockpit there is generally radio control or autopilot control. So it's not a critical thing, and that's actually exactly what they're after. There is that kind of thing, kind of keeping it out of the pilot's eye line, not needing to put it directly in the line of the pilot's sight. So we're going to try to pull this in a little bit more so that it's not quite in the pilot's line of sight per se. It is, but we're going to try to keep it somewhat out of their line of sight so that they can see to the right over here, and they can see to the left over here. And really, it's only this middle section right there that's going to be inside the eye line of the pilots. They're going to have only that to have to deal with. So extrude and bring that all forward. We'll go to the top. And we'll go all the way down to the nose to about here. And then I'll do this like so. And then I will extrude again to the nose piece. And we'll snag this wall right here. And we'll extrude to the midline, because we're going to mirror it on the midline, making sure that goes to the midline and only to the midline, unlike this forward console, which doesn't actually do its job like it's supposed to. I'm going to do that, and then that'll be fine. And then we'll do this just to give it a little bit of shape, because we want some shape in there. Really hate not having shape. So we're going to bring these down, snap that shut, and we'll snap this shut like so. I don't think it needs to go any further than that to tie in. There we go. And if we look at it, we get that, which does mean that this needs to go forward because we don't have a seal there. There we go. Very much an 80s sports car feel. I mean, how can you not love something that feels like an 80s sports car, right? Our upper control panel is there. You can see eyeline here. This is kind of a blind spot, but you can see there. I'm going ahead and see if I can't give a little bit more room up here. Just a little bit more on the upper panels. A little bit more. Because it's, like I said, doesn't need to have a whole bunch of stuff up there. Just enough that the important business buttons, IBB, important business buttons, are up there. All right. So, and actually, I can probably pull it back just a hair. There. And this means that from the pilot's point of view, yeah, see, that's not so bad. From here, I can see to the side, I can see there, I can see up, I can see over. Okay, good. Making sure I check my eye line on that, because you don't want to have that eye line screwed up. Okay. And then we go back to the top. Make sure you two are on the line there. All right. Easy peasy, right? Right? Everybody thinks this is easy, right? Right? Everybody thinks this is easy. All right. Move that forward, go to the side, bring it back down, because of course it went too high, as they all do. And then we've got just a little bit of shape up there, which is good. I don't like that. I already don't like it. Too much. There we go. All right. So we will go to the top. We have a little bit of a weird that we're going to do on the other side. So we're going to have to do this real quickly. So we'll just real quickly take this guy, because we already know he's working like he's supposed to. You know what? I kind of like the idea of bringing that in just a little bit more of the shape of the front window there. Kind of bring this guy out wouldn't hurt either. There we go. Right? Okay. Take this, and we're going to add a modifier. And what we're going to do is we're going to put mirror on it, right? And that just mirrors it to the other side to make sure that it all kind of fits the axis. The one thing I'm going to check for is make sure that it's got enough overlap that it doesn't have any screwiness going on between the two sides. Right? You've figured out that there we go, just like that. We're going to have to get back into object mode in order for us to accept that. Apply. There we go. And now we have both of these upper consoles sort of in, and it looks just fine, right? It looks good. Just sort of a front thing, kind of going like that. But we're going to add something here, just a little bit of something that kind of fits the general feel of just weird, general feel of just weirdness, because it shouldn't be that straight. Feel kind of like we made it too straight. So we're going to put it in edit mode, grab just these guys here, and I'm going to bring them over so that they're offset to here. We're going to go inside here. We're going to grab this edge, And we're going to extrude out to here. We're going to extrude out again to there. And we're going to go to the top view on this. And pull across like so. And this guy we're going to pull through like so. Okay. I'm going to go to one side here. We're just going to raise them up so that they're part of the upper walls too. Dang it. Grab all of it though. Right. We're just making sure that they all line up. There we go. And we've just got kind of a block out kind of going on over here, right? And that's what we're kind of working with. We got this kind of weird little block out happening. And what we're going to do is punch a hole in it. So I'm going to go back to object mode. Kind of got this going for it. We're going to then create an add. We're going to add a mesh. We're going to add a cylinder. And we're going to take that cylinder and run it right through the middle of this thing. And grab you, shrink you down. And you may ask yourself, is this my beautiful house? And you may ask yourself, is this my beautiful wife? And you may ask you may ask yourself, what are you doing and why? And really the answer is because it makes sort of a different look for this. Gives it some variety to one side. What does this little window do? We don't know. I'm sure it's critical. And maybe there's a turret up here at some point in time on the more aggressive military versions of this. Who knows what's going on with this thing? But we're going to take this and we're going to go Boolean, and we're going to say difference. It's just difference the cylinder, right? And that's all you do. And then you go into object mode and then you just say apply, and then it's done. And that cut a hole in it, and all is good. And Merry Christmas. Bob's your uncle. Okay, we take this guy, and the last thing we want to do is run a triangulate on it. You see how it added all of those on there? And then that way we can make sure that it won't make funky, weird, bizarre holes. So now what we have is this sort of open window here on that side. And I did it on the wrong side because the pilot sits in the left seat. That's all right. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I promise. So, all right. We've gotten to here. This is where we are with our weird little turret on the front of the ship. That's all right. You know what? Legitimately, the wonderful thing about 3D is I will scale it -100. I am not going for a walk today. It is way too cold for my buddy who has Tongan blood. He is out. He is out. He's a Pacific Islander. He's got no real protection. Not only that, he's actually in relatively decent shape, which means that he has no body fat. So it's kind of a bummer. Anyway, okay. So I will take this guy and flip him around 180 degrees, and all I really do is just make the X scale -100, and it will flip it through. Once I do, then I'll map it and it'll be done. Then we'll do a ceiling and that'll be done. And then we'll do a back. And that will probably take forever, but we will be done. And this set will be ready for us. I'm going to spend the rest of today doing this, which seems like a thing to do. And then we will mess with stuff later. So anyway, for those of you who joined me today, and that would be Brent and Donald, thank you very much for joining me. I will see you all tomorrow. Though tomorrow is Watercolor Wednesday, I'm not doing watercolors because we're on a deadline. So I am going to keep going. I'm just going to keep chugging along, and I'll be done somewhere. But we will get there in time. So I'll keep chugging, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow. And as always, keep your eyes on the stars. Bye-bye. Computer, good night.